So welcome to episode 15 of Conversation on Eagle Mountain, a podcast about the tribe. I'm your host, Lance, and joining me on the podcast panel today is Liz.
Hello.
Hill.
Hey.
Sabine.
Hi.
And we have a new guest panel member, Karlan.
Hello.
With episode notes done by Matt, Catha, and myself.
That's it. We're all here.
As of this day, all who join hands are bound together as one, brothers and sisters to the end.
So episode 15, the screenplay was done by David Fox. It was directed by Lawrence Wilson, and we'll have the episode notes read out by Karlan.
While in danger of being caught by the locos in the forest, Owie is rescued by a mysterious girl named Taizan. Bray finds himself deeper in the middle of an unwelcome feud between Trudy and Celine, when Trudy finds out that Celine accompanied Bray in their retrieval of water. Once Chloe and Taizan make it back to the mall, a party is thrown to celebrate Chloe's homecoming. But while it is a festive event for some, for others it spells heartbreak.
So, first impressions, what does everyone think about this episode?
Me and Hill were just saying that we really like it. We think it's a great one.
This is a good one. We agreed on something, Liz.
I know. We're growing people.
Yeah, it's a classic episode. It even has that classic tribe cliffhanger at the end.
Liz and I were also talking, maybe it was just me, but I mentioned it, that like we're only 15 episodes in. Like in the grand scheme of things, we're still very much in the beginning of the show, but it seems like so much more has happened. Like, you know, like this is like way up at the beginning, and yet it seems like it's not. We feel like we've grown.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Yeah, I agree. I think the characters at this point, you kind of know their personalities, and now is exciting for now on for future episodes to see how they deal with certain situations based on knowing about them.
And they're actually at the point where we are at, because we're bringing in new people, they're bringing in new people.
Oh, look, it's like that was planned. Good job, team.
Yay.
Yeah.
It's very quotable. There's so many good quotes in here.
There are.
Yeah.
If this is the beginning of their group, it's a well-earned beginning. You know, you could almost argue that everything up until this moment was the prologue. And now this is the actual beginning of the tribe. And I think it's really cool that we got to see that, because another show would have just started with the group right now at this moment being stuck together. And we would have to guess at what happened before, you know? But we got to see it. We literally got to see them all come together.
The tribe definitely plays that long game of like, they don't give you anything spoon fed. They just kind of drag it out. Not saying that's a bad thing, but like 15 episodes in, we're getting a name. We're finally a tribe. But yet we've been hanging out for, 14 episodes?
With the tribe, it's never about the destination. It's always about the road trip.
Yeah. They don't have a choice. It's 52 episodes.
I know, some shows, this would be it. Like, they'd be in the last few episodes of their season. And these guys have barely dipped their toes in.
Right.
It's still so strange for me that this is episode 15, because when I watched it for the first time, we had double episodes over here. So our season 1 had 26 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
So this was just a part of another episode.
Oh, yeah. I think I realized that today.
Well, I mean, I know when it aired first here in the US, like, it was 2 episodes they would play, but there would be, like, episode 1, commercial break, episode 2. There was no commercials during the show.
Yeah. So it was very clear they were different episodes. They just played at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah, over here they left out the music and they just continued on without any commercial breaks.
Wow, that really has to change your perception of the episode.
Because our Dutch DVDs of season 1 are also just 26 episodes.
It's interesting.
Very interesting.
But it definitely, shows how they filmed all these episodes very consecutively.
Yeah.
And then later we're like, oh, this is where we're gonna cut this in half and end the episode. No wonder you have so many cliffhangers.
Yeah, it's kind of filmed like a soap opera.
I do have a question about it though. Since here in America, it's unheard of to film any TV show with this many episodes, and even in this order. The way they do it.
Yeah.
And I remember at the time wondering if this was just a New Zealand thing, because I'd never come across anything like it before. The consecutive filming and the fact that every episode is literally just the next moment to moment, and as long as it went on, and I was just like, it took me ages to even keep track of the seasons because I couldn't fathom there was that many episodes in a season. I'd never heard of anything like that, and I was just like, what is it like in other countries? How do they do their TV shows?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I wonder if the filming in order was also just because they had the space to do it.
Yeah, most likely.
They didn't have to run out, and also because of the ages of the cast too.
Just a week of consecutive filming, and then you cut it into episodes.
Yeah, which is crazy. That's just crazy.
Yeah. But it's interesting. We've never seen anything like it before.
Ooh.
They wanted to create something new, and they did.
That they did. Looking back, the hour days and just the days must have been crazy.
It's almost like that reality TV, but it's good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like reality TV with a plot that's good. That's how it feels.
Yeah. I really find it as like a soap opera.
Yeah. It is. It really is a teenage soap opera. As much as it cringes to say that, but
15 credits for a stray. Hey, you!
So, the episode kicks off with Chloe's luck running out as she is spotted by the locos and pursued for the reward of 15 credit for a stray. And yeah, that's a really interesting line because that throws up a lot of questions all at once. What were your thoughts when you first heard that line? Because what does this tell us about the internal structure of the locos, about how they share resources, and where do you think they spend these credits on? What are your thoughts when you first heard that?
Girls and booze.
Well, it does it explains the casino that Lex had mentioned to Paul. Outside of the mall, these bigger tribes, because they're so big and they can compete with each other, they're able to coexist and safely, have a barter system between them. And but it also says what their opinion is of people who aren't part of those bigger tribes. We've seen what happens to you if you're on the street. You're just a stray. And it does let you know that the other tribes they've got some system going, some kind of system of government happening out there. It's still probably a mess, but it does exist. And it's another reminder that the world is spinning outside of the mall. It's evolving still.
Isn't one of the anthropologists, Kippendorf or something, one of their structures of a society is a barter / buying system where there are credits in place, or a form of currency?
I think so.
I don't know, but I think there is some scientist at one point was in order to have a clear-cut society or a civilization, you have to have this, that, and the other thing, and one of those is a form of economy, I guess. I don't know. I don't know who it was.
Yeah, one's economy, one's religion, and there's something else I've forgotten. Yeah, but that's you're spot on.
It's actually something that comes back in a later season as well, because I think it's in a discussion between Luke and Ebony at some point.
Yeah.
I mean, it just shows that these kids aren't dumb. They realize that they've got to have this system in place, I guess.
It's the first hint you get at slavery economy as well. We've seen what happens to strays who get picked up in the street. The first episode. That's why Amber saves Chloe. It's not safe to get picked up by these tribes in the street. We see that's why Lex and his gang have to run from the locos. So it really adds the emphasis to what being a stray means in this world. It's not a good thing. It's dangerous. We have seen the locos barge in to someone's residence and take them away in chains, tying them to poles. And so what else is a stray but most likely a slave in this world? And that's it. I mean, think about it. 15 credits for a stray. That's basically a slave catcher term right there. You know,
Being astray is not a good thing.
not a good thing.
And like that also forms like the tribes. Like you're not a part of a thing. And if you're not a part of a tribe, your worth like
Nothing.
like it diminishes your worth in society. Which is also a lesson for people and kids, I guess, too.
And it's not just any tribe. You need to be as we'll learn in the as episodes go on, you need to be part of a tribe that the other big tribes actually acknowledge.
Mm-hmm.
You can't just be like, well, we have a tribe, because they'll be like, we've never heard of you. You don't exist, therefore you don't have value, and we can do whatever we want to you.
You can't be in the wrecking crew.
Yeah.
Or the mode.
Right.
Or the mode. All those one-off tribes that we never got to see.
Because we'll see the Mallrats having to fight just to prove that they are a tribe who should be validated, and they need Ebony to speak for them, because as far as anyone else is concerned, we haven't heard of you, so you're not a tribe. You don't basically exist.
Yeah, like this show is so heavy on the Mallrats, and yet up until this point, they're not a tribe, and really they haven't earned their worth until the end of this season too.
Remember how we were mentioning that these guys, it's all about society. That's what the mall is. It's a society. Mm-hmm. And Lance had made a really good comment about, now that they have their own laws, what are they going to do about getting people outside of their tribe to obey their laws? And they can't, obviously. And of course, we'll see this in season 2, but what we're looking at really is a country forming its own independence. And when you see it compared to the rest of the city, we as a country, like as a world, we have to decide whether a country exists like jointly. You know what I mean? You can't just say, oh, these 106,000 square acres I live on is my own country. You know what I mean? Like, you can't do that. It doesn't mean anything until it's validated by other people. They have to agree that, yes, that's your country and you have the rights to your country. And so that's what the Mallrats are going to have to do. They can say they're a tribe. They can form a tribe. But as far as the outside world is concerned, they don't exist until the outside world like validates their existence.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that's how civil wars start.
Yeah, like, we're a country. No, you're not. Says who? Says we. We say we're a country. Yeah, well, the rest of us.
Who are you to say that?
No.
What about you? My story is not important, except that it brought me to you.
Thank you for saving me.
It was written, just as it is written that I must follow you.
Follow me? But I'm lost.
Often when people say they're lost, they're just not listening hard enough.
Listening to what?
Their heart. If you had to choose a path, which way would you go?
So let's move on to our first new member of the tribe. So Chloe is obviously rescued by this mysterious stranger, Tai-san. She's a wanderer who's very spiritual, and she says a lot of quotable things in this episode. So what were your first impressions of Tai-san?
Okay, first I thought she looked fabulous. I loved the look. Loved everything.
I love her costume.
It's really just a great guru-ish look to her.
The sunglasses.
She looks fantastic. But I have to admit, like, the moment she tells Chloe that it doesn't matter where she came from, I was like, oh, that means the writers don't know where you came from.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, like, sweeping things under the rug, like, because the writers were probably just like, we need a person. Here's our person.
Yep. This is a great concept for a character. We have no idea how she formed, but she's here.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of TV shows, when they do that, it's like, oh, here's a new character, because one of the characters are going to leave, and eventually one of them do.
No.
After all these years, I still am a big fan of the conspiracy that Tai-san was placed there.
Watching the show the first time around, like, didn't know that conspiracy theory, but then watching it again, there was a line that made me think of it.
What's the conspiracy theory? Please fill me in.
That Tai-san was with the Technos from day one.
Yeah.
I'm not buying that.
Really?
Oh, no,
Really?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, all right, whatever.
I
Okay,
can't remember it.
Really,
What
really.
was it?
I'm not buying it.
Hey, and
Yeah.
it fits in with 15 credits for a Stray, because that's something the Tech would say about her.
Okay. I'm leaving. I'm not even touching that.
I'm willing to bet the Technos. Yeah, okay.
Jeez.
But also, like, you know, we say that, you know, she's dismissing the store, like, the questions because she doesn't, like, the writers didn't know. But she could also be dismissing them because she is secretly a techno.
Right.
You know, and like where she says, I was hoping you'd tell me, what are you doing here in the woods? Like, you know, hey, I'm a techno trying to scoop you up.
Right, because that totally matches the rest of her actions for the next 3 seasons.
Yeah, and technos.
I'm sorry, you guys. That is that's the most ridiculous things I have ever heard. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm with you, Sabine.
Technos are not known to have spies.
I've drank the Kool-Aid.
Oh my goodness. That is right up there with people wondering, why is that sign back there? Is there an actual nuclear bomb in the mall?
Hey,
No.
I proved that one. I proved that.
There is no bomb in the mall. Tyson was not secretly a techno. Oh my gosh. I need a minute. Oh my word.
But so many theories.
I don't mind a theory, but come on, you can't base your theory on one little piece of evidence and ignore all of the other evidence that doesn't support it. You can't.
She was a mole.
That's not how
to
theories
destroy.
work, you guys.
Yeah.
That's like deciding your spouse must be cheating on you because they had one conversation on Facebook with somebody about coffee. Even though they never leave the house and they never dress or get showered, they are not cheating on you.
Yet people do. No. Lance, where do you think? Where do you stand? Be the tiebreaker.
I don't agree with it. I think it's an interesting theory, but yeah, I don't buy into it. But I think it is. I understand why people came up with it because of like her dreams of Eagle Mountain, and I can understand where it came from. But yeah, I don't agree with it. But no.
Join us.
Tyson is mysterious because one, they really didn't know, what she was when they wrote her, and she remains mysterious because they never bothered to fill in the gaps as to where she came from. And so I can understand why people are like, there must be something more to her. And it's like, no, there isn't. This is what they created, and they didn't really come up with anything to explain it. And then they didn't feel like they had to. And she never got a backstory, because that was supposed to be part of her mystique. But nothing about Tyson supports the techno theory. Nothing. No, we're not jumping that. She was there for 3 seasons before the technos even show up. You cannot ignore those 3 seasons to support your one little theory. I'm sorry, you can't. You cannot ignore 3 seasons of development of a character to just say, this one thing supports that she must have been a techno.
Yeah, I agree. And I don't think the technos were even formed.
To be fair,
you don't know that though. We never see the technos before.
Obviously, they found the antidote. Why would she leave at that point? Just devil's advocate here. If she was a spy, why would she leave at that point?
Why would she even stay if she was a spy? What did it serve her to hang out with these people, these failures? Okay. What purpose does it serve? Is she supposed to drag them into slavery? Because she doesn't do anything with them.
I didn't say she was a good spy. Just saying. She could be like a double agent working for the technos, but also maybe feeding into the Mallrat theory.
Hey,
yeah.
She managed to get them to Eagle Mountain, and well, that's how you dispose of people.
Sabine, I think I've actually lost respect for you at this point. I can't even believe that you're on board with this. Sabine, how long have I known you? How is it possible? This is like when my mother told me she liked Twilight. I'm like, I don't trust you anymore.
Okay, Tyson herself, what do you think about her herbal healing and knowledge? Did you find that was a pretty cool thing to introduce into the show?
I think it was a very smart thing to introduce. In a world that doesn't have any regular medicine anymore, except for what you can find, it's great that they found a way to bring someone in with that knowledge.
Yeah, I thought it was awesome as well, just to have someone with such a different mindset than the rest of the tribe, because they clearly don't think that way.
No.
It's what was missing from their society.
Mm-hmm.
And and in all ways it will put a wrench in the plans.
I mean, that was pretty much Tyson's original purpose, I think, was to bring in that knowledge, and then she just kind of stuck around because she is secretly a techno, but whatever.
But I am glad that they brought that. That's what this society was missing, this aspect of it. And it really does, because you do think at this moment that the Mallrats might be just about complete, and something about Tyson coming in does complete them. You know what I mean? How she does not acknowledge logic or pragmatism. She believes in faith and seeing what is not to be seen. And think about it. No one has ever mentioned them having a name, you know?
No.
And it took this girl to just show up and say, well, I'm here and this is the reason I'm here. She's the first person to bring up a purpose for their existence, you know? And that is necessary to any society. You need people who, they don't require logic or rules or explanations. You know what I mean? They just simply believe in something, and that is what pushes them forward. And sure, it can get you into trouble, but it's still necessary, you know, in our humanity.
Hey, so bringing up, because you said about religion, now we have, you know, our economic situation. We've got our religion, got our science and technology. I don't know. What else are we missing here?
Spiritualism is the one thing that was missing. Belief.
Going back to our anthropological study of the tribe.
You know, people who believe in the ley lines, and because there's some truth to all of it. And just like we talked about how every aspect of society has a plus, everyone has a minus. So Tysana is going to bring good things to the tribe, but we'll also see the negatives of some of her blind beliefs. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
That's gonna be fun.
I thought she was cool when I first saw her. You know, I was like 20 years old and I was in my non-judgmental phase. And I thought she was awesome. But then I got a little older and some of it just started to feel a bit pretentious. And I felt like this was a child who was imitating the adults that she had known who lived this way. And have you ever met people who have these temporary principles in their lives until it becomes inconvenient, and then they will find a whole new reason to leave that principle behind? And it's like people who are rich enough to believe that stones cure them of their ills because they have money, they can believe in that kind of crap. But if you're poor, you're like, a rock in the yard ain't gonna cure my cancer. You know what I mean? Like, that's what she started to remind me of as I got older a little bit. I'm like, oh, she has no idea what she's talking about. She's just parroting what she's heard people say, and it sounds great. But look how many times she's going to contradict herself because she doesn't know what she's actually talking about when it comes to some of these subjects. You know, she's just regurgitating what was taught to her growing up.
Yeah, I agree.
Still love her, but yeah.
I was just thinking, because we're going to jump to Dow in a minute, but like, do you think it was a bit of a missed opportunity that the two didn't clash? Like, we didn't really get much.
Her and Dow?
Yeah, because of like Dow with the medicine and her with the like herbal. Like,
that would have been an interesting like dynamic to see. Yeah,
I think the reason she and Dow don't clash, where she and Jack do, is because Dow is so pragmatic. He doesn't really care how you cure the illness; just cure it. You know what I mean? Where Jack, he's more hung up on, no, it has to follow this sort of idea. You know, he's more principled in his idea of belief and the idea that Tysana might be right, even though she's following something completely different. So he's the one who ends up clashing her there, where Dow's just like, hey, if it fixes the problem, it fixes the problem. I don't really care how, you know?
Oh, yeah, true.
Yeah.
I mean, he thinks she's crazy, but if her crazy fixes something, Dow's on board.
Yeah, I think Dale would have clashed maybe a little bit more with her if he wasn't at the farm so much in that next season.
Possibly.
Or maybe, like, in the base of Dow's character, there's a little bit of admiration for Tysana, too, though. Because he obviously sees a need for the natural realm and the farm and everything. Like, he's got to know some of that, you know, herbal stuff. Like, so maybe that's why they don't clash, is because they do have a mutual respect almost.
I mean, Dow has already shown that he does have a respect for nature. He recognizes the resources in nature and how important it is. I mean, he's the one who wanted to leave the city and go live in a cabin in the woods.
Yeah.
He wanted to live.
So I think he sees like the need of Tysana.
Yeah.
So yeah, she did nothing about her is offensive to him. He's just like, yeah, she takes it a little too far, but she's right about how useful all of this is. And then again, Dow doesn't get offended by much. He's very live and let live. You know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's true.
Apart from unhumble Jack. Which is what
I am a genius.
Yeah.
Dad, wait! I didn't mean like that. Obviously, you played your part too.
Thanks.
I was in the driving seat, but you were the best assistant I could have wished for.
It's always a pleasure to serve Jack.
So yeah, let's talk about that. And Dal getting really fed up with Jack not acknowledging his role in basically all their projects and Jack's big head. So, like, what do you think about Dal just sniping at him throughout the whole episode?
Yeah, I kind of like broody Dal. Like, you never really see him, and then all of a sudden he's just like upset.
Dal is so like the king of passive aggression.
Yeah.
He won't just tell you what you did to upset him. He just gets snotty, and you're like, "What is wrong with you? Is it your monthly, Dal?" You know,
Oh,
it comes out of nowhere with him, and you didn't know what you did because he won't tell you. You know, he's the one in the argument. He goes, "If you don't know, I'm not going to tell you."
but I also like how like later in the episode where things aren't working, and he's just like, well, you know, it's not gonna work, so because you want all the glory, why don't you go tell Lex this isn't working? Because he's just like, yeah, like it's very passive aggressive.
Because he's been sitting on it all afternoon, irritating Jack and trying to figure out how to get back at Jack. And he was like, and something hits him like, oh, you know what? Okay, he wants to be the boss. He wants to be the idea guy. He wants to take all the credit. Oh, he can have all the credit.
Like, it's the best way of getting back at Jack. Like, once again, the long game. Like, I
just love how they spend the whole afternoon bickering like a couple. Like, Jack is literally trailing after him. Like, Pepper, what did I do? And she's like, Tony, I'm not talking to you.
Tony, yeah. We saw this in Iron Man 2 or something. Like,
he's trying to make it up to Pepper because he knows he can't do it without her. He can't run the company out without her. That's why she's the CEO. And she's like, Tony, I can't even deal with you right now. And that's Dal all afternoon. And Jack's chasing him, trying to figure out how to
Can someone please Photoshop Tony Stark and Pepper Potts over Jack and Dal? Like, that'd be the funniest thing ever.
But I totally feel Dal's frustration. I would be very irritated if, you know, Jack does have the great ideas, and that's awesome. But I would be very angry if the only reason his ideas worked was because I made them work and he gave me no credit for it. Like, if it wasn't for me, it would still be just an idea in your head, you know? And so, yeah, that would bug me. That would upset me quite a bit.
And I mean, I think Dal has every right to be a little upset with Jack, because they are working as a team, and then he's just like, Jack wants all of the glory and not really giving Dal his due.
I know. I mean, it wasn't it Dal who found the whole sand and, you know, filter while Jack was still trying to figure out how to make it work. And it was Dal who was like, ta-da. And here's Jack going, I'm the genius. I figured it out. It's like, no, you didn't, Jack. Yeah. Just because you had the idea doesn't mean you made it work. You couldn't have done this with Dal.
The humble guy, so he doesn't take the credit for it. But he really should.
But the thing is, that's another lesson you should learn. Like, we're taught as children that we should be humble and that we shouldn't boast. But here's Dal. Look how angry and resentful he is.
Yeah.
Being the person who doesn't speak up and say, no, I want to take credit for this. We've seen that passive aggression with Amber. We've seen it and how we talked about whether or not he feels emasculated, you know, due to his size and his relationship with Amber. And now here he is with Jack, once again being shunted to the side. And instead of just saying straight up how he feels, he keeps resorting to passive aggression and, you know, stews in his annoyance and his resentment until he can find a way to get back at this person just a little bit, you know, and he does it. We saw him with Amber. I don't have an opinion on this. This is your problem. I don't want to be involved. Because he's mad at having to stay at the mall in the first place. And now he's doing it to Jack. And it's going to take Dal a while to learn to speak up. And of course, it's going to take Jack a while to admit, I need you. I need you in my life.
Yeah. So that's the great part about their friendship is they kind of blend in together and they learn these lessons because of their fallouts.
They're probably my favorite couple, though.
Yeah.
Right. I'd ship it.
Come on, they actually deal with their problems. I mean, it gets ugly sometimes, but I really do love them.
The only healthy relationship they have.
That's a bromance right there.
So let's move on to one of my favourite Lex moments and lines.
It'll all end in tears.
I love that.
Yeah.
So we've talked quite a lot about the Celine, Bray, Trudy situation, but let's talk about the actual surrounding situation, because I found this quite interesting that Amber didn't want Celine to go with Bray to help fetch the water for the tribe. And why I find it interesting is because it kind of goes against the whole sexist uprising that they staged just like an episode or so ago. So why in particular do you think that she did not want Celine to go? Is it because she was trying to keep that harmony of the tribe together, or do you think it was her own personal feelings beginning to bubble about Bray?
I think it's both. I mean, while she can keep her feelings for Bray pretty under wraps and you don't really control how she acts, you know, I'm not going to deny that she certainly isn't, if she can't have Bray, she certainly doesn't want Celine to have Bray, you know, and she's not going to encourage that. And she does seem really adamant to keep Celine out of it. And I honestly don't think it's 100% for Trudy's sake. I think in part look, if Amber's willing to sacrifice her happiness and not chase after Bray, she certainly isn't going to want to watch another girl do it. You know what I mean?
Right.
I do think on some part she just doesn't want Celine going for it because she can't have it. And then of course the other half is she really doesn't want to disrupt the harmony. And she knows that Celine going chances that. And she's just like, but it's also a sign of her control issues. You know, she can't just stay out of it. She can't let it go. Yeah.
To me, it always seemed like she really just didn't want to deal with the meltdown Trudy would have over it.
And she wasn't wrong, because Trudy immediately goes to her and freaks out about it. Like it's somehow Amber's responsibility to keep this all going, you know?
Amber tries really hard to keep the group together. Like, almost to the point where it's almost like, is it worth it? Like...
I did have to laugh, though. It's one of my favorite Amber lines when Trudy does go to Amber. Why come to me anyways? I'm admin, not marriage guidance.
Yeah, that's I really like that moment when you start looking at Lex, as you mentioned, what's going on around this ridiculous triangle forming, the cyclone of emotion. And I was thinking about Lex. Now, we already saw him try it on with Celine, and Zandra put the kibosh on that immediately. And of course, he tries it again. But this time, I don't really feel like he was really committed to it. At this point, I kind of think that Lex is doing it just because he knows it pisses off Zandra.
Oh, totally.
Because he's definitely at this point kind of flirting with Celine in a way that's just to get Zandra's attention, you know, and because he doesn't seem like he's committed to getting with Celine or anything.
You brought that up like episodes ago, where that's the game. Like,
yeah, that's the game, you know.
It's the game they play, and that's how they do it.
So, you know, Zandra is always telling him, get it together, you can't have me, blah, blah, blah. But the minute she sees him with another girl, she comes flying out of the woodwork. She smells it out right away, and she gives him attention. And then he just smirks as she stomps off. He's been reaffirmed. She still wants me. He still wants me. And I love him observing all of this going down with Trudy and Celine and Bray, and how amused he is by it. Because, you know, he doesn't like Bray. So if this is going to make Bray's life miserable, this is fun for Lex, you know?
Oh, yeah.
And it'll all end in tears. I love that, the way he delivers that.
I just like how he leans into Amber and he's like, hey, this is all going to end in tears.
Like, when Celine shows up to help with the water, look at Lex's face. He knows how uncomfortable Bray is, and he is loving this.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my gosh. It's so awkward, you know, because Bray's like, okay, sure, Celine, you can help. But at the same time, you can tell he's nervous because he can't trust these girls. He can't trust whether or not they're being sincere or they're trying to lead him into an emotional trap, because that's what Trudy keeps doing to him. You know, Trudy will be sincere with her emotions, and then he'll let down his guard and be vulnerable with her, and then shoot, she snatches him in a trap, and then he's like, damn it, you know, why did I trust you? And he's looking at Celine the same way, like, yeah, you can come along. Are you going to behave? You're not going to use any emotional blackmail on me, are you? You know, and he still got trapped, because think about it, they go for the water, and he's like, wow, thanks for coming, Celine. You were right. We needed the extra hands. And then she immediately goes, I didn't come to help with the water. I need to talk to you. And you can see his face like, no, no, please, no. And then she has a go at him, and he doesn't even try. He just stares at her like, I give up. I hate you girls so much.
Oh, but the look on his face when Celine tells him that it's even worse that he's sleeping with her when he doesn't even care about her.
You know,
Look on Bray's
I feel
face
bad for
is
Bray there because
Right?
I don't know about you guys, but this often happens, especially with females. But you get a reputation that you didn't earn. You know what I mean? For whatever reason, and you can get a bad reputation very easily. You can live your life straight and narrow, and all it takes is one misunderstanding to change your reputation, one action. And I imagine for Bray, he takes high offense to this because what we know about Bray, he only sleeps with women he's fallen in love with. You know what I mean? Like, he does not sleep around, and he doesn't think well of people who do, which is why he slut shames Trudy when he finds out she only slept with his brother despite him.
And why did he sleep with Ebony then?
I think he really had deep feelings for her. You know, he didn't have a reason not to. She was his high school sweetheart girlfriend. If the virus hadn't happened, who knows? Those two would have gone to prom together. You know what I mean? He would have never seen the sides of her that he doesn't like. They would have been fine. You know, I think he did care about Ebony. It really broke his heart to see the person she was underneath the sweet girl he thought she was. And I just think that's also why they always have that tension, you know, because he's still hoping to see that sweet girl, but blah, blah, blah. My point is, Bray doesn't sleep around, and to be accused of it so casually from people who don't know him, you know, that he would be willing to do that he would sleep with a girl just for the heck of it. The people are so quick to think that about him, to the point he doesn't even want to prove him wrong. He's just like, get out of my face if that's what you really think of me, because it's not who he is, you know? And like, poor guy, that sucks.
That's funny.
But he also, once again, never comes out and says, hey, I'm not with her.
He does later, but I mean...
Yeah, he does say it.
He does tell her, look, I'm not sleeping with Trudy. But you can tell that reason he doesn't want to have this argument is he's too angry he's being accused of it in the first place. Have you ever had that happen when someone has accused you something of horrible and you really feel like they're not even going to listen to you? You're just too angry at them. Like, you're accused of stealing something, and you're just like, how your brain is stuck on how dare you accuse me of this rather than trying to prove your innocence. You're just like, I don't even want to talk to you. I can't believe you would accuse me of that. And you need to calm down before you can have a rational discussion about it. So when she immediately starts accusing him of sleeping with Trudy, even though he doesn't care about her, you can see his face. He's like, I am not even having this conversation with you. I can't believe you would say that to me. He does the same thing to Trudy. When Trudy accuses him of doing something with Celine in the woods while they're gathering water, he just walks out of the conversation. He's so angry at her. He's like, I'm not even going to try and explain myself to you. Wouldn't understand. And I'm out. But later when he calms down, when Celine comes and she apologizes for accusing him, he does say, I'm not sleeping with Trudy. That's not what I want. Yeah. You know, she's driving me crazy. So yeah, I mean, I know I've been there. I've been accused of things and I didn't admit right away that I didn't do it because I was too angry at being accused in the first place. So yeah, I feel bad for him. I do.
Speaking of the whole Celine going out with Bray thing, why didn't anyone bother to tell Trudy that they weren't out there alone, that Ryan was with them?
Because Ryan is furniture. They forgot Ryan went with him.
I think it's funny that Lex said that because obviously he was only causing trouble, you know, and that's hilarious. But I do think it's interesting that Zandra doesn't bother to correct him or like clarify what he said. No. She watches Trudy stomp away angrily, and then she just looks at Lex.
They just find it funny, I think. Like, even Zandra, like, secretly finds it funny.
Zandra was just very glad that Celine was back at hunting Bray again.
That's true. It does serve Zandra's best interest if Celine is taken with Bray, because then Lex won't be trying to chase her.
Yeah.
But still, Amber could have told Trudy.
But Amber didn't know. Do you remember? Trudy comes stomping into Amber's room saying, is it true what everyone's saying? And Amber's like, what are you talking about? And she's like, about Bray and Celine. She's like, Trudy, they're getting water. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, nothing going on between them. And it doesn't matter. Trudy's already got herself fired up. So it didn't...
I mean, even saying Ryan is there probably wouldn't even have diffused that, though.
It wouldn't matter to her. You know, Trudy is not in any mood. She's in that spoiled little girl mood right now where it's got to be someone else's fault. And
Yeah.
think of it, wasn't she just spending, an episode apologizing to Amber and trying to get on Amber's good side, and now she's accusing Amber of a conspiracy to take Bray away? Amber's like, are you freaking kidding me?
Oh, she's crazy.
I do love that when Trudy says, "Oh, so you admit she's after him," Amber instantly goes, "Well, it's not hard to spot. You'd have to be Ryan to miss that one."
You
I
can't
love Ryan.
you can't ignore anything that makes Ryan sound dumb. You do this to me on purpose.
I know.
She does this to me on purpose. She wants to set me up. You were thinking about this, I bet. You're like, I'm going to say this. It's going to drive Liz crazy.
No, not even.
Yeah, she
I
was.
just have to laugh at how Amber responds with that. You have to be Ryan to miss that.
I love Ryan, but it's true. He wouldn't.
Yeah.
Seriously, he wouldn't notice the love triangle unless it fell on him. It's so dramatic. It's too much, and oh my goodness. And I will say, as much as I love Trudy, she is just getting out of hand. Like somebody
really love Trudy though.
I love her. I think she's great, but I'm like, dude, somebody needs to push this girl down a flight of stairs at this point because she's ridiculous.
Like, nobody ever tells her to chill out.
That's Trudy the Moody.
Like, oh my, I love her. You know what I do? She's my girl. She's my ride or die girl. But I can admit, man, I wouldn't have tolerated this stuff at all from her. I've been like, I'm gonna rip your purple hair out by the roots. Oh my word, there's no way I would tolerate the way she talks to people and the way she treats them and that entitled attitude. I'm like, oh my word, I felt bad for you. I don't anymore.
You would have hated me at that age. I'm sure of it.
I didn't like myself at that age. You know what I mean? I didn't like most of my peers at that age. It's a rough age to be, but she really does take it because she, again, like I've always said, you can't control how you feel, but you can control how you act on it. You know what I mean? And Trudy just really is completely careless about how she treats people. And again, I don't think she's ever had to suffer any consequences for how she treats people. You know what I mean? And, she was able to play the sympathy card with Bray for months and months and months. And now there's no reason for Bray to stay with her. There's no reason Bray has to put up with her. And she's not handling this shift in their dynamic very well. And she's throwing a tantrum. That's the only way she knows how to get what she wants, is to throw an emotional tantrum. And it's not working. Bray is not her mother. He's not her father. It's not his job to try and soothe her feathers and help her, navigate the world. He's just a kid too. And if he gets sick of her, he can just leave, and she can't handle that. And she doesn't know how to deal with it. When she starts screaming at him as soon as he comes back with the water and he walks out, you guys see that shift in her personality immediately? Bray, where are you going? Where do you think he's going? You started screaming at him as soon as he came in. He's sick of your
Yeah.
Yeah, I love her, but somebody needs to, hit her with something really hard. Let me recalibrate your brain cells.
Oh.
No, what I mean is that's what it feels like when you're that age. Like my mother used to always say that, I'll knock your brains out. I'll re-scramble them so you start thinking straight again. I get it. You lose your brain at that age. You don't have it anymore. And it's let me knock some sense loose.
Girls and hormones.
Not just girls. You should see my son. Ooh, boy.
Thank you. And welcome.
What's going on here? And who is she?
She brought Chloe back to us.
Let's move on to Tyson and Chloe returning to the mall. And obviously Lex, instant reaction and dislike to her. What do you think about just that part? Because it obviously mirrors when Bray first arrived in the mall, so at least he's consistent.
He is the security guy, and if you put him in charge of the security and then you bring people in, I think it played into the character. And, if there was, even if it's not a perceived threat, he's doing what you asked him to do, so you can't get mad at the guy. I think he's got a valid point.
He does.
Stop.
He definitely has a point.
Stop bringing people in.
They didn't think Bray was a threat either, and Bray stole from them. Even though, Even though Lex's reasons for not liking Bray were definitely personal, he has a point. He has a point. Just because Tai-San doesn't look like could be harmful, we still don't know anything about her. And sure, she brought Chloe home, but why wouldn't she bring Chloe home?
In this world, like, you know, I put myself in the shoes. Like, I don't think I would trust anyone as far as I could throw them until they prove themselves to me. And bringing home Chloe doesn't necessarily constitute a full-fledged relationship and bond that I trust you.
Yeah. I'm in full agreement with you, because I mean, we've seen time and time again, sometimes someone brings you home and they turn out to be a decent person, you know, and then sometimes someone saves your life and then you bring them to your home and they turn out to be one of the worst mistakes you ever made. May. Anyway,
hey. You know, and
I'm just saying, you know,
I don't want to say I feel bad for Lex, because I know it's like, oh, it's Hillary, she likes Lex, but like, you make him security, you tell him he's the security guy, and then when he's like, hey guys, this does not feel right, this is not a good situation, everyone's like, but she brought Chloe home, she's cool, it's all good. Like, no, can we discuss this?
I'm seriously actually Team Lex for once on this. I know. It's a day for miracles.
I know.
I'm on Lex's side.
You know, whenever Lex has a bad feeling about something, 90% of the time he's usually right for the entire
series. It is
series.
true. Thank you. I like him. Can we have him on more often? Like, it's so true. I've said that so many times, and people are like, no.
However,
here it comes.
Let's not forget that one of the reasons why he is so hostile is because of it threatens to expose the lie about Bluebell with Chloe returning.
See, this is Lex's problem. The problem isn't that he's usually wrong about these threats. It's that his reasons for feeling they're a threat are always very suspicious. Like, the only reason he thought Bray was a threat is because Bray was a beautiful boy that everybody liked, and he threatened Lex's position. That's the only reason he didn't trust Bray. It wasn't because he really thought Bray would do anything bad to them. He just and so everyone gets that feel. So of course, the way he's treating Tai-San, like Lance said, his hostility comes from being exposed, and he lied about Bluebell, even though everyone kind of already knew. He lied about Bluebell. Everyone kind of knew. Nobody really
just because he's, you know, playing at his own game doesn't necessarily.
When people can tell that your reasons behind something are not sincere, they're more likely not to trust you. You know what I mean? And so they tend to ignore Lex's suspicions because they always come from some personal motive that has nothing to do with the greater picture. So his distrust of Tai-San isn't because he really thinks Tai-San's a threat. It's because it could expose him. And they can tell, you know what I mean? That's why they're just automatically ignoring him, when maybe they shouldn't. But that's kind of Lex's problem, and it'll happen to him over and over and over again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The group just is like, yeah, Lex only feels that way because, so we'll just ignore him. Even though he may have a point, but they're just less likely to listen to it because his point is always coming from a selfish point of view. You know what I mean?
Isn't most people's opinions come from a point of view of their own? Like,
I don't mean that. How do I explain it? Okay.
Like, I'm just like, yes, he's got an alternative motive.
It's usually always that way for Lex. So even when Lex has a really good point to make, people tend to ignore the good point he has to make because of who it's coming from. You know what I mean? And, you know, I'm not saying that Lex is wrong for not trusting Tai-San. And I'm not saying it's fair that he's being ignored despite being in charge of security. I'm simply saying that this is where it comes from. They just don't trust Lex to tell the truth about anything. So if he decides that Tai-San's a threat, they're looking at him like, really? Why is that, Lex? Why do you think Tai-San's a threat? You know what I mean? And so they automatically ignore him. And they're lucky that Tai-San wasn't a threat, you know, but that is often the core of Lex's problem and why people don't always listen to him, even when he's right, you know?
Yeah, because if Amber would have said the same thing, like, okay, so are we sure she's not a threat? Everyone would have instantly listened to Amber and sided with her.
Yeah, they would have considered if it's because of who is saying it. Amber's values and her motives are usually quite pure, and she really usually is thinking about everybody. So people have learned to trust her in her point of view. So if Amber said, I'm concerned about Tai-San, the others would have taken notice. They would have been like, oh, maybe there is something wrong with her. If Amber's saying it, there might. She becomes the moral voice, unfortunately. That's what happens.
But he is the guy that you're looking to for these decisions by making him head of security.
I know that. Hill, I said I don't think it's right they're ignoring him. I'm simply explaining why this happens to Lex. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying I'm not saying they shouldn't listen to Lex at all. I don't believe that, hun. I don't. It sucks, but this is why it happens. I mean, think about it. Later on, when Ebony tells them the truth about something, she warns the group, don't trust this, don't do this, and they don't listen to her. Why aren't they listening to Ebony? Because they've learned not to trust her. Mm-hmm. Because Ebony has screwed them over before in the past. So even when she's telling the truth, nobody listens to her. You know what I mean? She kind of screwed the pooch. She burnt these bridges with people, so they don't listen to her, and they get screwed. That's all I'm saying. I'm just saying that's why this happens to Lex. That's all. All right. They should take it more seriously. Amber even admits, you're right, we should be more careful. But yeah, they do automatically go, okay, Lex, whatever, because you're always trying to protect yourself in the guise of protecting us, and that's why they ignored him. But yeah, she could have been dangerous. Could have been something going on with her.
And Amber instantly tells Lex off for questioning Tai-San. He goes, well, show some manners.
And what was it? Oh, we could do worse than get invaded by a tribe of spaced out hippies.
I'd like to see how.
Yeah, right?
But if anything, you can get some amusement out of the fact that Amber is so eager to embrace Tai-San, and she is going to change her mind quite soon. Like, she's all open to listen to everything Tai-San has to say, you know, and later on she's going to be more exasperated with Tai-San than Lex could ever be. so she's gonna Carmen's gonna get her back, definitely.
Oh, that would have been amazing to see, come to think of it. What if we would have had Amber later on in early season 2 when they found the formula and Tai-San wouldn't do what she did?
Oh, not sharing the antidote?
Not sharing the formula to the antidote. Amber would not have stood for that.
I definitely think Amber would have been more concerned about the security risk. Like, what if something happens to you, Tai-San? She wouldn't. It's not that I don't think she would trust. I don't think she'd have a problem with trusting Tai-San with the antidote. I think she'd be more concerned of what if something happens to you, Tai-San? And nobody should be solely in charge of all of our safety that way, because Amber has said that several times. You know, no one person should be able to make the decision for all of us.
I mean, that was what wound up happening.
So I do think that's what Amber's concern would be. It wouldn't be anything with...
Well, that's what I mean.
But I do think she'd be concerned about nobody else. What if something happens to you, Tai-San?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It wouldn't have anything to do with trust, because, you know, by then Tai-San has certainly earned Amber's trust, even though they don't agree on crap. But I also do think Amber would be reasonable about it, because no matter what she disagrees with, she usually is reasonable about it.
She would have been adamant that someone else learned the formula from day one.
But she would have also made a good argument about it. She wouldn't have just whined and complained and stamped her foot. Amber, when she has a point of view, she's still very good at arguing it logically. Yeah. She doesn't just whine until she gets her way. She finds ways to convince you why she feels the way she does. So she would have worked with Tai-San, and I'm pretty sure she would have convinced Tai-San before she got blown up to the antidote.
Yeah, definitely.
Man, I didn't realize I'd be defending Amber as much as I do. I didn't realize I'd feel like I'd have to.
So scary. You're hating on Trudy and on Bray, and you're defending Amber.
Sabine, I already told you, I am a fair judge of character. No matter how much I like or dislike a character, if they do something crappy, I'm calling them out for their crappiness, no matter how much I love them. And even if I hate a character, they do something right, I'm going to give them credit for it. Yeah. I am an unbiased, objective person. I write these characters. I have to be. You know what I mean? I can't just say everything Trudy does is fine because I love her. Come on. It's not fine. She's awful to people. They have a right to hate her. I can love a character no matter. I mean, Hill loves Lex. Lex has done terrible things. She still loves him. You know, she still likes his character.
I like other characters too, okay?
I didn't mean it that way.
I just needed to throw it out there because I feel like sometimes that we forget that.
I'm just saying that you can like a character even when they do terrible things, and you can call them out when they do terrible things.
And I do call them out.
That's how I am. So yes, I'm going to hate on Trudy if she's doing hateable stuff. And I'm going to praise Amber if she's doing praiseworthy stuff. Sabine's just like, Ow. Oh my goodness.
I'm just protective of Trudy, you know that.
I know, and you can be, but it's like, dude, if she's doing something awful, it's okay to say she's doing something awful.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I love her being awful.
We've come together for a purpose. We are a tribe, but we are still lacking something. That something is pride.
What's this we are a tribe? Nobody's invited you to join us.
And yet I am here. Perhaps that's why I've come. To restore your pride in one another by giving you a name.
Okay, yeah. Before we get to the pivotal moment of the episode, what did you think about Tai-san's like sudden inclusion into the group, and how she suddenly like starts saying "we this" and "we that," and she's just kind of forced her way into everything? Like,
I mean,
Word.
I think doesn't even Lex say like, "Since when are you part of the tribe?" At one point, like those are my thoughts. Who invited you?
He's like, I don't recall anyone inviting you. She's like, and yes, I'm here.
And you know what? There's the door.
He's just like, I wasn't expecting that answer.
I know.
Like, she just kind of steamrolls in and like, yeah, I'm here. I'm with this tribe. Like, what?
That's what it said. It's that sense of belief, that kind of confidence, that force of nature that they've been missing. You know what I mean? Like, Tai-san didn't need an invitation. She feels she belongs here. She believes she belongs here. And they are just sort of swept under by that. Like, wow, none of us have seen this kind of passion before. We don't even know
this chick means business.
It's a bit mesmerizing to meet someone like that. Someone who has that. I mean, that's how cult leaders often I'm not saying Tai-san's a cult leader, but
no, she totally is.
I'm saying that
did a great job at it.
I mean, that is how Zoot got people on board. That kind of power and charisma and belief in whatever you're doing and whatever you say, that attracts people. They are pulled in by that, you know, like, wow, like they're just getting by day to day. None of them believe in anything too much. And here comes this girl with all the confidence and swagger in the world who doesn't even seem to realize a virus happened. You know, like, and she's not bothered by anything. She's not concerned. She's not running. She doesn't even seem to care if they take her in. She's just like, I'm here now, so I'm part of your group. And they're just like, wow. They don't know what to say in the face of such confidence. You know what I mean? And it can be intoxicating to meet someone like that.
Amber even goes, what harm can it do?
Yeah, she's swept into it. She's amazed by the things that Tai-san says at first. You know, even Amber is just like, I was just talking to Tai-san, and she was talking about maybe we don't need leaders. Like, whoa, Bray did the same thing to you, and you were not on board with that.
Yeah.
Bray lacked the confidence in that.
They got whipped in the face with some patchouli, and they stopped seeing sense.
Yes. Yeah, Tai-san just immediately gave them all cups of Kool-Aid, and they're like, this is delicious. This is amazing. They're lucky she's harmless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She could have been like Hemlock. Seriously, she could have been Jaffa. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're lucky Tai-san was completely harmless. Well, you know.
Must you know what?
Because, like, she came in with the kind of swagger that people take over tribes. They're lucky she wasn't interested in taking over this tribe. She just wanted a place to crash. That's all she cared about.
I do think that's how how Jaffa was drawn to her so quickly.
Oh, yeah.
She does have cult leader potential.
She does. It's just good that she doesn't really believe in anything specific. Her beliefs are broad, you know.
Please, Let's form a circle. Everyone join hands.
What harm can it do?
All this for a name?
It's more than a name. It's a future.
Watching back, did you see that as a pivotal moment of the show, or was it something you thought was pivotal later on?
I guess there is a gravity to it. Like, it's the first time something like this has happened, so you feel that there's a gravity to it. But I don't think, like, as a dumb kid, I was like, woohoo! Like, I don't think I felt it as much.
Yeah, I agree. My first time watching it, I didn't think it was pivotal at all. I was like, oh, this is cool. They're finally coming together. But my second walkthrough, the speech that she said, it almost kind of makes you want to shed a tear because some tribe members die and some actually go away to the point where, it is till death that we'll be a tribe.
Yeah, I think it's one of those moments. I agree with you guys that you don't realize how important it is until later. It's made more important by everything these kids go through.
I mean, I think the important part of it, like on your first walkthrough, is, seeing Trudy and Lex join in, and like these characters who have distanced themselves do come into the fold. Like, Trudy has very much made it a point that she doesn't want to be in any sort of anything. Like, she wasn't at the was she at the trial? I don't know, but she has said that she didn't want to be included in things, and then she joins in.
That's a good question. Yeah, why did you think Trudy suddenly threw herself into the ceremony when she was so distant?
For Bray. Absolutely.
Just before we even end that, Bray.
And I think it's mostly Bray, but I also think even she's aware that her isolation isn't helping her at all. You know what I mean? She hasn't made any allies with anybody. She doesn't trust anybody. Even the people she thinks are nice, she doesn't trust them. She immediately assumes that they would stab her in the back. She just screamed at Amber about this. She just said, all of you are against me. And I don't know what she was thinking about, after that. But being that isolated from everybody, it's got to be lonely, even if it's your own self-imposed isolation. So it's very possible that she was thinking, one, she's never going to get Bray if she's the girl everybody hates. You know what I mean? And I think also it's a sense of, even for her own peace of mind, she hasn't tried to make friends with any of these people. And she doesn't want to be left out, It may be selfishly motivated, but it's what makes us as humans is how we survive. We are meant to be group creatures. We're meant to seek out others and community. And you can only be on your own for so long. You need to connect with somebody. And what are her chances on her own if she can't even show up? If she just makes it a point to never be a part of this group, what's to stop them from just kicking her out? You know what I mean? She's made zero effort. And I think she had a moment to think about that.
Yeah, she probably figured that out. Because she wasn't making any friends. That's for sure.
And if she's convinced that everybody, including Amber, is against her, then she'd have to ask herself why. Why would they all hate me? Why would they all be against me? And this is the first effort to say, no, I'm a part of the group too. I don't want to be the one who's singled out, And then, of course, later she apologizes to Amber for even accusing her of that. Again, don't know how sincere it was, but yeah, I think it's definitely both Bray and that sense of, I don't want to be on my own anymore. I don't want to be the person everybody freaking hates.
It's like 99.99% Bray and like...
Oh, and the fact that Amber seriously told her earlier that she has to put in more effort to be likable for Bray. First by being a better mom, but also by contributing, being a part of the
group. Because at this point, Bray has accepted his part in being in the tribe, and even though he and Lex still butt heads, they respect each other's position, And so if Bray is getting at home with the tribe and finding his place, that must make Trudy feel even more isolated, because at least before they were a team. It was the two of them on the outs. Now Bray isn't, and she definitely is still on the outs. Yeah, you can't, how are you going to fix that if you don't ever try to reach out to these people? And of course, she gets a little dig by stopping Celine from holding his hand. You're not rid of me. You're not rid of me yet, Celine. I'm not out of this game yet. I do think it's a beautiful moment, though, and I felt like Karlan, watching it today, like I felt a little misty, like, oh my gosh, this is where it began, you know, and thinking of everything they've gone through and how many people we've lost and how they've still remained the Mallrats through everything. And it is more than a name. It really is.
I mean,
Yeah.
I think that's also why even in the, you know, continuing seasons, like that scene is used in the credits, like, or the end credits at least. Like, it is still there as a reminder, like, we could have fallen apart, but we are together. Like how you said that. Like, it is.
Yep.
It does become more than what it is.
They finally got the missing element of their society, and they're solidified finally. Cohesion. It's really beautiful, and I'll never not be happy seeing the Mallrats standing in a circle holding hands by the fountain. Always. I'll always love it. And I think that whole scene is just fantastic. I love the long take, the shots. It's just a discussion over a name. They're just throwing out names. How about the dolphins?
Shut up, kid. It would be a different show, though.
It's not that bad of a name.
Really? Would you want to be in a tribe called the Dolphins? Like, could you see Lex running around like, oh yeah, I'm with the Dolphins? Like, no! Get out of here.
Let me tell you, in the 90s, everybody wanted to be a Dolphin when Dan Marino was playing football.
They're fierce, but yeah, I have trouble seeing Lex ever agreeing to be a Dolphin.
Yeah, like, hi guys. Lex is a Dolphin. Like, no. Like, and I mean, I was 90s girl Lisa Frank Dolphin planner, and I wouldn't even want to be in a tribe called the Dolphins.
And then, of course, you have, you know, the alarm going off. They got their answer, and they know, because just before that, Dal had been saying, you can tell Lex that we don't know if the alarm's going to work. And then Bob took care of it. Because Bob is, like, the secret superhero of the show.
Right.
Like, I'll go take care of the alarm. I'll go make sure it's working.
Bob is the glue that holds the tribe together.
Are we sure Bob isn't tribe master?
I've thought that before. I thought that.
He's a bit of a lazy dog.
No,
too.
he's not lazy. He's conserving his energy. He knows what's
same
up.
thing. I'm like, Bob's conserving his energy so that he can use it when it matters.
Exactly. Bob knows what's up. But I have thought that Bob was tribe master. I'm not gonna lie.
And then, of course, Tyson, she jumps right on that. See, that's a sign of hope. No, it was a coincidence, Tyson. That's what that was.
Yeah. Every time I hear that, like when I'm watching the show, I'm like, sit your butt down. Like, shut up.
But hey, it worked, you know, because for a moment they were all scared. Then the alarm went off, but at least they knew it did work. And all the boys went down together. You know, Bray's like, I got your back, Lex. You know what
Lexon is like 2x4.
That's a huge moment. Like that's like one of the first moments where these two completely put their differences aside. You know, and Bray's telling him, "I'm right behind you. I've got your back." And you know, Lex actually trusts him to have his back. You know, and it's the first time you see all the boys together protecting the tribe. It's really cool, you know, and it's just Bob. Yay, it's just Bob. And
it's just,
you know, we're safe. And it's like, that was clever, Tyson. Use that relief. And everybody bought into it. They're like, yeah, we feel good, man. Our alarm works. We weren't being attacked. Let's be the Mallrats.
Let's be the Mallrats.
With Lex as the king rat.
Hey, it works.
That leads us on to the big party moment. Where everyone is all dancing with glow sticks and having a good time. Yeah, what did you think about the party?
I wanted that to be like, hey guys, we're gonna roll in like 10 minutes. Just, you know, have at it, have fun. We'll yell cut in a bit. Just kind of just do your own thing. It'll be great. Like, it's one of those moments that I love because are they acting? Are they not acting? I'm confused.
It's a really loose scene and well handled. Yeah. It feels like, especially the camera work, you'll notice it's just one long take of the camera zooming in and out and following the kids as they move around the floor. And it has a really nice natural feel to it. Like you literally just came upon a bunch of little kids who this is their idea of a party, you know? And
like Jack with the airplane thingies, like that direct the planes.
Yeah.
I love that.
Like, of course this would be so fun for them. I mean, how often do kids get to listen to music anyway? They always have to be afraid of making any noise, and they're getting to use the glow sticks for fun, which usually you would preserve those things for, you know, an emergency. And that freaking club music is great. I want to dance to that. It's good. It's a good party. I think it's super cute. I want to jump in and dance with them. There's just a lot of adorable dynamics happening, and
it's fun watching like all the little clusters of like what they're doing.
Chloe's got the fairy wings. They're so cute. They're just dressed up.
Fairy wing.
This is a kid's idea of a party, and they're having fun. I'm like, oh, this is adorable. I love this. I want to come to this party.
Right? Clearly, Sandra helped people have a sense of occasion.
Which is interesting because Sandra didn't dress up for once.
No, she didn't.
She was like, I look good. I always look good.
Yeah, she was like, I got it. She had that like Capulet thing on. She looked good. She knew it.
It's a cool moment. It's like a real party that they're finally getting to have. And it's awesome. I really do love it.
I like the parties. Those are always my favorite.
And yeah, I do agree. I think they may have just said, we're going to roll. And there's only a couple things we need to happen. And we'll just let them happen organically.
Yeah, well, the conversation was a close up and everything. So like the wides were probably just like, go at it, kids. Have fun.
Yeah, I mean, looking back at that scene now, like, was it not like the biggest security risk you could ever do by having this thumping music playing in the morning?
Totally.
Like, yeah, here we are. We're here.
Yeah.
I mentioned it several times so far.
But like,
Brady's crying will be a security risk. Then they have Celine playing a friggin' piano.
So
you might as well just say, okay, we're here. Like,
here's
open
my
the door.
thing, though. No, okay. So as someone who worked in a mall, like we talk about the sound of a mall, and I clerked in a mall. I worked in a mall, and I used to get our sound system up pretty loud. And for the most part, like if you were in one of the shops, like you couldn't hear what was going on in other shops. Like there are parts that like I don't think people would necessarily hear it outside. Like maybe if you went into the sewers, yeah, you would know that there was someone here. But at that point, you're pretty much screwed anyways.
But remember, there's less ambient noise. You've got less people around. You can hear footsteps. You can everything is louder. You've got less.
I mean,
people.
you could hear them coming in and stuff, but I don't think it's necessarily a threat going out.
Oh, I don't just view it as a threat. It's more that they made this big fuss over not wanting Brady there because she would make a lot of noise and that would attract the locos. And then they just up their noise level and disregard that.
I think that's the point, though. What have we seen these kids do from the moment we met them? Ever since these kids have met, they have literally, all they've been afraid of is getting caught, being found by the locos. You know what I mean? Don't make this kind of noise. Don't do this. Everybody has lived in fear this whole time. And this is the first time we see them as a group unconcerned. They've figured out an alarm system. There's a sense of security and safety. You know, we are progressing as a group. We're figuring this out. We know how to get ourselves food. We know how to get ourselves water. We know how to keep ourselves safe now. You know what I mean? And we have a name. We have a purpose to existing. And they don't care right now. And it's actually really beautiful. In this moment, they are unafraid of anything. And they're just having a good time. Nobody's worried about the bass being heard out in the street, which it might be or it might not, but nobody cares right now. They're just happy, you know, and not feeling scared. And that's the first time we ever see them as a collective group feeling this way at the same time. Nobody's worried, not even Lex. He feels safe. I got an alarm, you know what I mean? We got this figured out.
And it
can just relax and breathe.
Like they've come together because like if someone were to come to the mall, they're all like on the same page and they're all together. They're a tribe. Like who cares? Like you said, Liz.
You know, we got this. You know, we got this. We're getting somewhere.
You're not rat or dies.
Yeah, you know, that feeling of like, like I said, cohesion, you know. Tyson does bring that to them. And they're all feeling it. They're all on the high of it right now. It's like, yes, we can do anything. We're going to survive. This is amazing. I mean, think about Trudy's not even worried about the baby waking up. Nobody cares. Everybody's
right? That's actually the more like the actual threat is of the baby waking up, if honest.
Even Brady's like, that's nice. I like that. I like that bass. I can sleep through this. It's good.
Right?
Maybe that's why she couldn't sleep. It was too damn quiet.
Brady likes the bass.
Because, you know, tomorrow they'll have to go back to worrying about basic survival. But right now, we're a group. We're a tribe. You know, we matter. Let's have fun. We're figuring it all out. That's something to celebrate.
And speaking of celebrating, that leads us to the juicy moment, the final cliffhanger, where we see Bray and Sabine kiss. What were your thoughts? What was your immediate reaction?
I wanted to slap her face.
I mean, as a kid, I was like, ew, they're kissing. Why are they doing that? That's gross.
It still makes me cringe. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, not gonna lie, I haven't gotten over that.
I can't judge them because it's happened to me so many times. I'm totally not interested in your boyfriend, Tammy. Blah, 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 blah.
You start sucking face.
It wasn't supposed to happen. I'm so sorry. I can't judge him. I can't. I get it. I understand how it happens. Neither one of them were looking for it. You know what I mean? I do believe that Celine was sincere when she wanted to simply apologize. I believe she was sincere when she told Trudy, I'm not trying to get involved with you guys. I believe Bray was sincere when he's like, I'm not interested in her. And then suddenly you just have this moment where everybody's on a high, everyone's feeling good. And again, Celine's really easy, and she's a beautiful young woman, and she's been nothing but nice to him. And for this one moment, and he just gives her this friendly little kiss, just for a moment, forgetting himself. And then it was like, oh yeah, that felt good. That felt good. I'm going in for that again. And yeah, you know, that simple comfort of making out with somebody without anything else to worry about. You know, I don't think either of them planned it. I don't believe it's what either of them were going for. And then it just happened, and then they're
we'll deal with consequences in the morning.
Yeah, they're just all in that moment, and it felt good for a split second until reality comes crashing down in the form of Trudy's quivering lip. I'm sorry, I love the way her lip gets like that when she's angry.
Right.
She's just trembling with rage.
I felt so bad for her.
I did too. That sucks. You know? For that split second, she was feeling good too, and she was choosing to believe, you know, Bray, and that's really confusing. I would be very angry if I was her. I would have been very confused. Like, both of you told me that I was, you know, overreacting, and that I was imagining things, and now I found you kissing. You know, you gaslit me, and that's how I'd feel about them. You know, I wouldn't believe them if they said it was an accident. I'd be like, oh, really? Oh, really? I don't believe you for a second. But I do think it was an accident. I
think emotions got the best of them, but still, like.
But still, it was just plain mean to tell Trudy you weren't gonna do anything about Bray, and then you do.
Like I said, I think that was the intention. I don't believe for a second that she was actually planning on doing anything about Bray. You know, she was going to take it on the chin. He doesn't like her. Fine. You know what I mean? She just wanted a straight answer from him. And then she felt bad for cornering him and accusing him. And she was just trying to make peace with him because that's Celine. Mm-hmm. You know, Celine's not the most... I mean, she can be vindictive, but I don't believe she was being in any way. And I do believe Bray was being sincere as well. He even says he's not looking for that kind of complication in his life. You know, he's just trying to get by and live. And just for a second, they were a pretty girl and a beautiful boy, you know, nothing else to get in the way. And
the moment Celine says those words, I don't want a baby either. All I've ever wanted is to feel I belong somewhere. And all I'm thinking is, but you're trying to take Brady from Trudy every chance you get.
But I don't think it's because she wants a baby. Again, we discussed that this is kind of in Celine's nature to be that nurturing. You know, I don't think Celine wants a baby. I think she can accept a baby, especially if she thought it was Bray's. You know what I mean? But I don't think she would go out and get herself a baby. She doesn't want one.
She wants to collect all the kids.
She just wants to take care of those. You can feel that way and not want a child of your own. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but she does mention how lucky Trudy is and how adorable the baby is. And
well, that's because she that doesn't mean she wants the baby. You know what I mean? Zandra says the same thing. You're so lucky. Zandra doesn't want a baby. You know what I mean? You can love animals and not want to have pets. You know what I mean? You can feel this way and still not want it personally for yourself. You can think marriage is beautiful, but not want to get married. And I don't think Celine's trying to steal the baby.
No.
And I don't think she's being disingenuous to Trudy, you know? And I kind of wonder what would have happened if Trudy hadn't caught them kissing. I wonder if these two would have realized on their own that it was wrong. You know what I mean? Like, their kiss is interrupted. This moment of forgetting themselves is interrupted because Trudy sees them. And there's that immediately regret. But I'm curious what would have happened if Trudy hadn't caught them kissing and they got to finish their kiss. What would they have felt without the instant regret of having betrayed somebody? Like, what would their thought process have been then? Would there have been guilt? Or would it have been like, I liked that. Can we do it again? Or would it have been like, we shouldn't have done that. I'm sorry. I'm curious as to what would have happened.
I'm also kind of curious as to what would have happened if it hadn't been Trudy that saw this, but Amber.
Yeah, that's an interesting one too. How because we know later Amber does not like finding out Celine kissed Bray.
No.
She's having a harder and harder time staying indifferent to the situation.
I wonder what Bray's response would have been if he suddenly noticed Amber seeing them instead.
Yeah, because his interest in Amber is really just starting to take hold. But again, he's putting it on the back burner. So it's one thing for Trudy to see him. He's not interested in Trudy. He just doesn't want to hurt her. But he doesn't want Trudy. So it's one thing for Trudy to see him. He just feels bad about her hurt feelings. But if the girl he actually really does like saw him, what would his reaction be like then? That is interesting.
I would love to see that.
If only they'd been caught by like Ryan, he wouldn't have said anything. He would see them, he'd be like, "Oh, I'm sorry." He would go about his business, and he probably
get to Zandra, who would blab it to everyone.
Oh, Zandra would have accidentally got it out of him. Ryan would not want to tell anybody anything, and then she would have known he had something on his mind, and then she would have pry it out of him,
and Zandra would have had a field day.
Or Ryan would have been more like, he would have innocently said, "I thought Bray was with Trudy, but then I saw him with Celine." You know what I mean? Like just innocent musing on Ryan's part. And Zandra would have been like, excuse me?
Back the F up.
I do like the way Zandra has been pushing for Celine to chase Bray, and it brings their friendship into question, because the last time she was giving Celine advice on Bray, it seemed like she was just really being a friend. It was a really nice moment between the girls. But now it's definitely motivated by wanting Celine as no competition for Lex. So yes, go get yourself another man. Because Celine even calls her out on it. Celine's like, "Didn't you tell me he's not worth it? And I should just cut my losses?" And Zandra's like, "Yeah, but I mean, all guys are that way, so go for it anyway."
So Lex didn't try to push Celine on Ryan.
That is interesting. But then again, we'll see later that Zandra's not thrilled by Ryan's attention being on Celine either.
Yeah, maybe she just didn't want to share his attention.
Yeah.
Because, they're kind of like a tribe before the tribe, so.
Any other final thoughts about the episode?
Good episode, A+. I think we covered that.
Yeah, one of my favorites.
It's a beautiful one. I really do love seeing the group come together. These moments. Again, it's like when they were all cheering on Trudy to give birth to Brady, and we were saying how it was a taste of seeing what they could be, Yeah. This is one of those episodes where it's like you can see the potential. You can see what they can be at their best, and just small things like the alarm going off and seeing Bray right next to Lex. No matter how many differences these boys have, Bray is on board with this tribe now. You know what I mean? He doesn't have to like Lex to follow him into battle. There's not even a question. There's no fuss. The boys just immediately do it. There's no argument about what needs to be done. Lex is in charge of safety. We follow him down to the bowels of the fight. You know what I mean? And it's just, I don't know, something really beautiful about seeing them all together like this. Trudy coming down to join the circle, making that step. We're a group. You know, we're going forward like this, and so it's always gonna have a special place in my heart. This episode, it's like, the tribe is complete.
I agree. No, I was just gonna say, yeah, I agree. It's a very classic episode for me as well. Just especially since Taizan is officially in the group now.
It's like, that's what we were waiting for.
We needed the hippie space cadet.
Yeah, it's a good one.
So yeah, that brings episode 15 to a close. Thank you to all the panel, Liz, Hill and Sabine, and to our guest panel member Karlan, and we'll see you next time for episode 16. So until then, bye.
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 Later days.